Okay, I just wanted to, I had some things to do the last few days, so, usually when I have a dream that I want to talk about, I talk about it the next day after I have it, but anyway, life happens, so, I'm getting to it now. I had an update on my twin, I think it was it 2 or 3 nights ago? Could have been 4 nights ago, but no more than that. It was 2 or 3 nights ago. It wasn't last night, perhaps not the night before, but doesn't matter. A few nights ago. I'll get to that one if I have time at the end, but I may have to do a separate little one for that because the one I had a shamanic dream about the Komodo dragon, a black one in particular. Very black, shiny. Um, didn't really look like the pictures when I looked up a black Komodo dragon. It seemed very like the skin of a like a snake or serpent, very smooth and shiny. Um, so that was that was probably about a week ago, and I don't know time anymore. But anyway, that's what it feels like. It was about a week ago. So when I looked up Komodo, black Komodo dragon, well, and if you think of reptiles, they're very efficient, they're very self-sufficient, and that was kind of the energy that I've been sensing, and from myself and just others, and just the energies of the right now. And some of the things that I found out about Komodo dragon, well, and they come to me in my dreams when it's an animal that I wouldn't, that carries an important message, but I wouldn't necessarily see it in real life. Even if it's like, cougars or wolves or whatever. Those are animals that are in an area where I live, but they're up high in the mountains and stuff like that, and stay away from humans. Of course, that makes sense, right? With what we're doing right now to the planet and everything, but we're not going to get into that. Maybe a rant video will go into that. But so that's why certain animals will come to me in my dream, and I just had the one about the or maybe you don't know, either way. There's a video about the black elk dream that I had, and now the black Komodo dragon. And those are two animals that I've never seen and probably would never. I'm not sure. So anyway, if God feels that there's an important message for me to understand there, then and dreams are where I get a lot of my messages anyway. So they're very adaptable. They can live off of very little, and it utilizes things from its environment very efficiently. So just like how I'm not sure if it's I would assume it's cold-blooded because it's reptilian, so they use the energy of the sun to warm up, so that's why you'll see them a lot like sunbathing on a warm rock or a piece of dark fencing or something that holds a lot of heat, so they can warm up their blood. And so let's see. So the self-sufficiency, quick thinking. They lizards can turn very quickly. They're very adaptable and agile. Fast action, so quick thinking on your feet. Very focused and goal oriented, passionate. It's also it can also mean a little heads up warning to not be too focused. Remember to be agile and adaptable, be passionate and driven, but it's a reminder for us to stay flexible. And it carries a certain omnipotent essence. So omnipotent, potent. So omni is like everything, everywhere, all the time, and potent is like power, presence. Okay, so all powerful. Yeah. So let's see. So it's associated with longevity. And the longevity is through working with natural and spiritual law, working collaboratively with the natural forces and accessible energies. Also, it can represent long dream states, which I have, and I can go back to sleep and go back into the same dream if it's repeating in a way that's irritating me, and I keep waking up and going back to the same irritation. I can go on like that all morning. I'm like, okay, I need some sleep here, so Archangel Michael, can you help me out here? And we'll go. I kept going back to a dream where I had like all these rooms, like lots and lots of rooms in this big house that I lived in, and all these people were like popping up in this room and that room, and I'm like, hey, you don't live with me, what the hell, why are you here, what are you doing here? And some teacher I used to work with and her daughter would try, and then she was saying, oh, you gotta do, you know, something legal to get us out of here, and I was just like, I kept going back to this dream that was just like really pissing me off. So the long dream state, okay. And the time on there. Oh yeah, it's only been 7 minutes. See, my thing about time is just like, oh god, it's been like 20 minutes. It's only been like 7 minutes. That's been happening a lot lately. Like being in a different time parallel or something. Anyway, so after like waking up like the third, fourth time, going back to that same dream, Cuba Gooding Jr. was in one of the rooms too, and then he invited his girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, I didn't even invite you. Yeah, I love you, but get the hell out of the house. What is going on here? So we came back into the dream state, and I say we because like my niece, and in this dream her girlfriend, I don't know if she has a girlfriend right now, but her and her girlfriend were helping me get all these people out of my house. And they're being like, my niece was being all badass, and then her girlfriend was like being all heartfelt and passionate about it, like, have compassion, you're irritating her, and like crying and stuff. And we went around, like there's like a million rooms and all these doors and windows we had to lock, but we did it, and I got some sleep and I didn't wake up anymore. I mean, eventually I did. I don't know, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. So you can pray for whatever you want, and you know, Archangel Michael is the protector, so he could protect you while you're sleeping too. And I always call in Archangel Michael for that. If I ever forget, I've already done like a spiritual clause in my contract where if I ever do forget, it's already implied, and Archangel Michael can act as my agent. I don't know if they're allowed to do that because it's free will, but it's just like, if I ever forget to say it out loud, the intention is set in stone. So but yeah, call in Archangel Michael whenever you go to sleep at night, or when you take a nap, anytime you're meditating, resting, just when you go into that higher state, to just, he is the transitioner. He helps guide transition, so he can help you transition safely into the dream state and come out of the dream state. Which, you know, calling him in is very important, because I've been attacked in my sleep. I've been choked. I've been just maybe a couple months ago, I'm not sure when it happened, I was kicked in my stomach. And then, you know, whatever dark energy it was embodied in my dream, my young cousin, my uncle's son, riding on his bike and coming by and karate kicking me in the stomach. But I always look at the eyes, and that's how I'm like, why, what? And I said I was pregnant, and I'm not, and I celibate and haven't had sex in a year, over a year now. Or no, just right about a year. I think September of last year was the last time I was with my twin. But yeah, I have an IUD, birth control. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. But so I said, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And why did you do that? It's me. It's Gretchen. I think I said Gretchen. I'm like, I might have said auntie, but it was my little cousin. And I'm like, Jason, why would you do that? That's the name of my brother, and my nephew's middle name. Jason is I'm gonna have to research that name. Jay's son. Anyway, that's and Ede and Edie and Eddie and Eve, Edith. That and Jason are two very common names in my family. So anyway, little tangent there, but yeah. So calling in Archangel Michael when you go into your dream state, and then you can have longer dream states that way, not be interrupted by dark energies and stuff trying to attack you. Like I said, I've been things have happened in my sleep, so lots of really awesome stuff happens though too. So I really love dreams. I'm really into dreams. I get a lot of messages there. Oh, so I don't know if I explained the actual dream of the Komodo dragon. I just went into the shamanic animal medicine, but so the essence of it was I went in, so my son, in the dream, my son was and he might have actually been taking a nap in the living room at that time or falling asleep on the couch, but I dreamt that that he woke up from his nap, so I went to go get him, and it was like daytime. I think there was sunlight coming in from the windows, but so I don't think it was nighttime, but it doesn't matter. Well, all the details perhaps do, I don't know, but maybe not to you, but sometimes I don't even understand what they mean, so if I record them, the more details you have, sometimes something will come to you and you'll make a connection. Anyway, maybe it represented the light and the dark because there was light coming in through the window, but yet this black Komodo dragon was like pitch black, like shiny black, like mirror black, really smooth looking, like I said, snake-like skin, and like just void of any color, just black, not grayish black. And it wasn't doing anything, it just was kind of like, it looked like asleep, like how a dog would lay but not on its side, if it's just kind of down with its paws in front of it and with its head down, and so my son and I kind of had a little bit of fear, but I was like, just move slowly, it's okay, come here, and he kind of went and went back onto the couch for a second. I'm like, don't worry, come here, because I just thought we have like a little baby gate divider, and I just thought, well, I didn't want to threaten the animal because I'm so big and stuff, but because the child has an innocent energy, we wouldn't have disturbed the animal if he just slowly took a couple steps over and I grabbed him up over the little baby gate. So I did that, we did that, and then it transformed into, my dad has a couple of black dogs that it looked like kind of like the same shape and size of a couple dogs that he has, and it kind of started jumping around like a dog, looked like a dog now, and it was like kind of happy and just frolicking a little bit, and then it flattened and kind of like oozed out into, like, imagine like a snake skin rug or something like that, and it was the same black shiny, and kind of oozed out, and a little bit kind of got under the couch, and I was like, it looked like it spread out like black goo, okay, but it was like still had the paws and stuff like that of the Komodo dragon. And the only reason why I know it was Komodo dragon because it was black and it was huge and it looked like a lizard. So I'm like, it had to have been Komodo dragon. And so what I got from that was the only thing to fear is fear itself, because we were afraid of something that was not, we didn't need to be afraid of it because it was frolicking. It was, so then the shape-shifting capabilities, so that's the adaptable, adaptation, the adaptability, yeah, there we go, the adaptability of the Komodo dragon. So the shape-shifting represented the going with using natural energies and the forces, okay, of push and pull, positive, negative, just like a battery, using that flow, that current, to manifest itself into whatever it intended, okay, in that moment. So very flexible, okay, very adaptable, very agile, using your own energies and the energies available to you. Trying to think of what other essences I got from the imagery and our emotions and what it was doing. Pretty much that's it. And it's like it moves when it needs to move. Yeah, that's it. It moves when it needs to move and rests when it needs to rest. So again, knowing how to tap into your own energies and the source of energies around you and work with those energies efficiently. So that's when, like, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run, just knowing what to do in that moment, that thinking quick on your feet. Yeah, so I think that wraps it up for the Black Komodo dragon. One mesh, let's see, okay, about 12 minutes, okay, good, 12, 13 minutes. So another message I was getting was, usually I get messages from saints when it's like well, what's been happening lately, this thing lately, since probably maybe January. I'll be getting synchronicities and just different things will keep leading me to a certain saint or whatever, and it'll usually be like a couple months before the day of the feast that celebrates that saint. And my dad had mentioned this, we were talking about, you know, this place we used to live and blah 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 when I was little, and he was talking about this metal, this silver like coin that he used to have that was given to him by his, you know, his great uncle, something like that. I can't remember, but it was like a family heirloom kind of thing. Excuse me. And it was called the Shamanic souvenir. So and souvenir and sovereign, sovereignty, that keeps coming to me. I'm gonna have to do another one just on God, there's so much that keeps flooding in. So the Shamanic, that it's spelled Charmant, and that's French for I don't think I looked up Charmant. I just looked up Charmant souvenir itself, what the metal looked like. Okay. But I know Suver is like super, which is like sober, sovereign, super, okay. Sovereign, super, rule, okay, that's the highest rulership is sovereign, okay. Sauver is French for super, okay. Super is above, and sub is below. Like Superman, Uber is also super. Ubermensch, Superman. Ubermensch. Just thought I'd mention the Ubermensch. And that's like a archetype, metaphysical thing. So it's not just a movie. It's based on metaphysical archetypes. But anyway, so okay, I was like, oh no, don't let me lose track. Okay, so this coin, or medallion, my dad wore it as a pendant. It was a silver coin that had Saint Hubert, this patron saint of hunters, which he may or may not have been a saint, but that's what they called him. They might have named him a saint because they wanted you to think that hunting was saintly, which it is not. And we'll get into meat eating maybe in another video. That's a very passionate subject, so I have to be energetically prepared for that and just let spirit flow through me. That's not happening right now though. So it has a buck on there. Okay, the black elk, the buck keeps coming. That was just coming up a lot. Synchronicities with that. That's a family name on my mother's side as well. And so it has Saint Hubert depicted, and then a buck that has between the antlers of this buck is Christ on a cross with illumination radiating from behind him. Okay, making this like sphere of light. Okay, radiating in all directions from a center point. And I wrote something months ago, years ago, who knows. It was enough, it was far back enough to where I feel a disconnect in time. So when you shine your light in every direction, no shadow can be cast upon you. And if you think of a pebble that's glowing, it radiates in every direction just like a star, okay? That's like the Christ consciousness. You radiate in every direction. And when you shine your light in every direction, no shadow can be cast upon you. And I was getting synchronicities about this black goo thing. And with the black Komodo dragon dream, and then my dad mentioned it, and then a couple other people that I watch on YouTube mentioned it. And this movie Neverending Story keeps coming to me, and the nothing. And I sat with the energies of that, and I said, God, can you give me a message that, talk the way you talk, that it's a very condensed, consolidated way of speaking, very few words, there's not too much expansion. It's our job to expand on that, I believe. So I try to get it in the most simplistic, simple, but it's layered and condensed. Okay, so if that makes sense. It's like concentrated orange juice, and we add the water so it's digestible. Yeah. So as human beings, speech and expansion, and so that people can understand it in their own way, because of semantics, people prefer certain words over other words, but we're all talking about the same thing. But so God speaks to me in this way that's very concentrated, like concentrated orange juice, okay? And then I have to add the water in order to have it be something that's ingestible, that I can understand and relate to. So when I was sitting with that question and those energies and being in the stillness and the silence and asking God, this black goo, the nothing, he said, and it related to this Charmant souvenir. And souverain, my younger sister's father worked at a place that had souverain in the title, and that's French for sovereign. And this relates to the meat eating, okay? And the church declaring that it's okay because they named a saint, the hunter's saint, okay? Saint Hubert represents hunters and the huntsman. But in this coin, in this medallion, it has a buck that has Christ in between its antlers and this sphere of light with Jesus on the cross. And it's looking at St. Hubert. It's looking at the hunter like the hunter has now become the hunted. That's what God said. Just like that. And that's a saying somewhere. I don't know where I heard, and that's the saying that popped into my head, because he knew I could relate that somehow, because I've heard it somewhere before. I remember in a movie or something years and years ago, and that probably rings a bell with a lot of you. The hunter becoming the hunted. And it's this flipping of the switch. Reminds me of a very traumatic Facebook video that I forced myself to watch. And I got about 4 more minutes. Okay, so it was, well, we won't get into the more gruesome ones that just made me want to retch. But it's not just the animals that we're eating. The animals that are in the circus, and birds in a cage with their wings clipped, and just, you know, the zoo, the circus. So this was a compilation of animal abuse that happens in these things called circuses, and, you know, Marine World, Africa, USA, whatever it's called now, Six Flags, or I don't know, whatever. The animals start, well, the one that stood out the most to me is when the elephants started fighting back, because they were so full of rage from being abused that they turned and started tossing people around like beanbags, and went out into the street and they shot them down. Because why? Because what, they're going to trample on some cars or something? Good, you should be so lucky. So they shot them down with bullets. Elephants. What are they going to do? Who are they going to hurt and destroy? Just stay out of their way. Let them keep going until they go out to the, and keep going and keep going and keep going to where they naturally come from in Africa, and they should not be in zoos. And they are sovereign too, and they know that it's unnatural to be a slave. And that's why the hunted is now becoming, the hunter is now becoming the hunted. That's what's happening. That's the black goo. The hunter is now the hunted. And that's bringing things back into right balance. Because Gaia is perfect harmony, and that stuff goes against harmony and balance, and so it's not going to be allowed. And I don't have any control over it. I'm just telling you people that that's what's happening. You keep eating meat. Okay, you're the hunter. You're going to become the hunted. So don't keep adding to that black goo. Try to counteract it and make it apoptosize. Make it dissolve itself. Apoptosis of the black goo, by not contributing any more to it and spreading the message to others, and not being afraid that people are going to think you're crazy, or, oh, I don't want to hear about that stuff, I just want to have fun, I don't want to hear about all this deep shit all the time. Yeah, you just keep having that attitude. 1 minute and a half. Okay, 1 minute 11 seconds. That's why I don't have a car. I never have. This is not a judgment. This is just the clairsentience of knowing what's natural and what's unnatural. Traveling at high rates of speed in the sky when we don't have wings. If it's not attached to you, it's dangerous. You know, even riding a horse. Okay, you're attached to the horse in a way that it stops, and you can keep flying if you're not strapped in. So our body is our vehicle, just like every other sentient being. And we need to start getting back to the natural way. And we're trapped. We're like slaves. So what has to happen? The playing field has to be leveled. And that's Gaia coming back into right balance with herself and harmonizing. So whatever that means, that's what's going to happen, because it's inevitable. It needs to be in right balance and harmonized. So I'm about out of time here, 11 more seconds. And just blessings to you all until next time. I love you, and keep the faith.